Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the January meeting. The start of the meeting is slightly different format to usual, and as much as we will have the apologies and declarations of interest first before we go to the public session. Are there any apologies, please?
Yeah, we have apologies from David Knoll, from John Harper, and from Colin Townsend, two of which have got illness, and John is going to the reports. So, can you hear us back?
No.
If you can't, just tell us and we'll try and chat with you.
Are there any declarations of interest? Thank you.
Just so I can do my normal declaration in terms of the planning issues for non-predetermination, districts and county council, personal interest of anything that comes along those, but also there's a bill from Parish Hall which I need to declare a personal interest on, and as a shareholder of the shop I need to declare a personal interest on that.
Thank you.
I also have a declaration of interest relating to the grants applications.
Thank you. We now go into the public session. Oh, sorry.
Approve the minutes of the December 12th.
To approve the minutes of the previous meeting. They've been circulated in red. Thank you.
Yeah, there was one slight amendment actually which I hope to point out to you. Sort of signing them as a correct the meeting, and that's to do with the budget the last time around. If you look at 148.21 the minutes, it identifies a council tax rise for a banded property of £4.38. In fact, it's £6 instead of £7. My math is not as good as it used to be. So I will just amend that on the minutes itself before they're signed. Okay? But that's the only change.
Thank you. We now go into the public session. Is there anyone
Steve Russell.
wishes to speak in the public session?
Steve, do you want to
I'm waking up slowly. Big one. Right, I've got a few notes here about the Queen's Platinum Jubilee and any actions we may want to take as a local community regarding the events of the 2nd to the 5th of June this year. Right, so the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, as I said, is the 2nd to the 5th of June this year. Currently the villagers are celebrating jubilees for the Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee in 1897 by the stone on the top of the knoll, celebrating it with a bonfire. And Queen Elizabeth II's Golden Jubilee. Both are marked with a stone and a beacon or bonfire at the top of the knoll. Queen Elizabeth's Diamond Jubilee was marked with just a beacon. How many of these events were funded, I haven't a clue, and by whom. Queen Elizabeth's II Golden Jubilee and 90th birthday are marked with a large stone and plaque. Both of these are at the Parish Hall in front of here, and funded again by I haven't a clue. Now the village fete was scheduled for the 11th of June, and I've asked the committee, and they have agreed to move this to the 4th of June, Saturday the 4th of June. And this will include therefore the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. The format is yet to be agreed, but I would envisage an event starting later than normal for the village fete at around 4 p.m. and running through till 10 to 10:30 in the evening. Food will be available in the form of a barbecue and pizza perhaps. Drinks could be provided by the Parish Hall and Westcroft cider. The Parish Hall has agreed to forfeit the normal entrance fee for the fete, and it is believed that to draw people in, you need to make it as free as possible. The proposed schedule at the moment for the fete is around 4 o'clock. We shall have stalls, bouncy castle, entertainer, a disco of some type going on in the early evening. 6 o'clock, an unveiling of a plaque if we've got one. To facilitate this, I would suggest the removal of one of the two Queen's Golden Jubilee plaques, the ones at the front on the rock, and replacing it with a Platinum Jubilee plaque. This has the benefit of reducing the cost by using something we already have. So at the moment, those of you look to the front, there's two plaques, one on either side. The idea is just to remove one, retain the Golden Jubilee on one side, and put Platinum Jubilee on the other. 6:30 was to continue with food, entertainment and stalls. 8 o'clock, a band, perhaps. 9:15, an intermission and lighting of a beacon on the knoll. Perhaps people who want could make their way to the top of the knoll, health and safety permitting, and help lighting the beacon. If the beacon is a ball of straw as previously used for the Queen Elizabeth Diamond Jubilee, or a bonfire as Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee, and this needs to be agreed obviously and permission sought from the National Trust. 9:30, I would envisage the live band continues to the close. The cost of food, plaques, bouncy castle, entertainer are major hurdles for this type of proposal. The parish hall has already agreed to take a reduction in income, and the Royal British Legion may support some of the costs for producing a new plaque if this is agreed. Agreeing the format, advertising an event, producing posters needs to be done sooner rather than later. With an entertainer, you can have a themed event for children and adults, such as a Queen and a prize. An entertainer would need a stock of prizes. Again, this has cost implications. Major hurdles are seen as funding, getting an entertainer and a band at this late stage. We can of course just mark the day with a plaque and simple ceremony at the front of the hall. We are open to suggestions at the moment of where to go next. So it's over to you really. I've solicited views from people and organisations in the village. I've done the WI, the school, and they're all of the opinion that because it's a 4-day bank holiday and the children and the parents will probably go away for the bank holiday, as it gives them a lovely opportunity to get away. If you want to attract people here, then you've got to do something that is easy and cheap for them to come along to. So an entrance fee is a no-no. Whether or not you could offer free food or a burger or a hot dog or something like that to bring people in. Starting later has the advantage, because if we started at 12 o'clock and trying to keep people entertained for the whole day would be an absolute nightmare. A street party, whilst it sounds a good idea, the implications of a street party is closing the road, getting permission, police, diversions, and it goes on and on and on. So the opportunity we've got is to use the village green to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. And how we use that village green now is the decision we have to make. And more importantly, whatever decision we make with the village green, it's the funding of what we actually agree to that is important, because without the funding, there's no organisation in the village can put the money up. Like for a band, there's going to be, if you have a band there in the evening, it's going to be over £1,000 just for the band. An entertainer costs about £600. So there are lots and lots of monetary implications, of having the Queen's Jubilee here on the 4th of July, June, I'll get the date right as well. So that's it, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Does anybody have any? Yes.
Question, we're not planning fireworks or any firework displays, are we?
The only thing I think we've planned at the moment is a beacon. The rest of it is all up in the air.
And
It's
that
whether we
would
can
be
afford
dependent on
it.
the licensing of that trust, of course. I don't anticipate problem, but they can be notoriously difficult to tie down to get a licence out of them. But I shall work on that and hopefully get a licence in time for the event. That's all I can do really. They change their personnel more times than most people change their socks. You know, they are difficult to deal with, National Trust.
Yeah, but I believe that once if we're going to move forward with this, I think the Parish Hall Committee and the Parish Council have got to get together, get their heads together and work on what we're actually going to do. Because the Parish Hall Committee can't do it on their own, and no one seems to want to volunteer to do anything other than perhaps put a plaque up. So, I don't know.
We've got an agenda item later on, of course. Number 10B of the agenda is actually to decide what the Parish Council will want to get involved and so on and so forth. So, I guess we'll come back to that later.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if you're not going to charge an entrance fee or anything like that and you want to get an entertainer, maybe you could make some money by doing a raffle, but really have nice prizes rather than maybe people could donate and wanted Christmas presents or anything that they think would be nice to make it a really nice raffle. Maybe some of Fox and Goose might be interested in helping out with a meal ticket or something like that. And maybe generate some money that way by doing a raffle.
Yeah, we normally, I mean, when we have the village fete, normally we do get quite nice raffle prizes from local retailers. You've got to have an event to have a raffle. You can't have a raffle really without an event. So it's all circling around what are we going to do on the day.
Yeah.
It's you can't. We're trying to put the horse in front of the cart, but the cart is actually in front of the horse at the moment. We've got to get it the right way around and get what we're going to do, get it funded, and then the things like raffle and everything else will come after that.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in the public session? Yes,
Hiya, it's just in regard to the community shop, if that's okay. So I've not actually prepared anything. I wasn't really anticipating coming along this evening and saying anything because I've not been to a parish council meeting before. But I just wanted to say how fantastic the shop has been for me personally. I volunteer at the shop and it's been a fantastic way. I moved to Brent Knoll in April of last year during COVID. And what it's done is enabled me to have a really fantastic opportunity to meet some of the community, not only fellow volunteers like myself, but also people coming into the shop and generally local people. What I've certainly found is that there's been quite a lot of support provided by the volunteers of the shop for people that are perhaps poorly or elderly, maybe have limited mobility. Some of the volunteers literally take shopping to people's homes. And I just think that that's such a fantastic thing to have in a community like Brent Knoll. I come from originally a village that had no shop at all, no pub, there was just a village hall. And whilst the village hall did a great job, as it does here, I just think there's room for other community assets like the shop that provide a really beneficial place for people to live and to come to. And that was all it was really, so I just wanted to make my thoughts known. Hope that's okay.
thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak on the public session in general? Before we go into the presentation regarding the shop, I would like to pass over to Andy Hong, as he is more familiar with this subject, and I request him to take the chair for this particular item. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think at this point, councillors, the shop committee would like to do a presentation to us, and then we'll take business from that point on. Gentlemen?
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're here this evening to give you an insight into the latest position with the community shop. I'm John Rogers. I'm chairman of the community shop. Jonathan here is basically he's our accountant and he gives us financial advice. Then we've got Lucy, who is now basically running the main part of the shop, and we've got Ali, who's moved, and she looks after volunteers, and then we've got Lynn, one of our senior volunteers, and she's going to give her input. So this evening we'd like to present the community shop team, who are very keen on providing the village with a shop where villagers can carry out their shopping, whilst at the same time be part of a community where they can meet fellow villagers. We very much rely on our numerous volunteers who work tirelessly, for which we are extremely grateful. We're regularly adding new volunteers to our team, and since the new year we've had 5 additions to the team. After our presentation, we would welcome questions from the floor. The emergency shop opened during the first COVID outbreak and proved a huge success. So much so that we've now moved from our temporary premises at the former post office to our current location in the village green car park. We're pleased to know that the move was self-funded by profits from the shop. We invested in new fridges, tills, shelving, the electrical supply and much more. Our accountant Jonathan will provide a detailed report on our finances later during the presentation. Since moving, sales have increased to a sustainable level, and more villagers are regularly using the premises. We have many future plans for the shop, such as reinstating the post office, providing a Hermes collection point, dry cleaning facilities. Lucy will update us further concerning these matters. Since a new committee was formed back last summer, we've had a reliable and keen team who are determined to move the project to a new level. Our former manager Jamie has had to step down from her position due to her own business commitments, running a family with 3 young children and having a husband whose employment incurs on social hours. However, she is still an avid supporter of the shop, works as a volunteer and does a considerable amount of admin work behind the scenes. She's actually sent me a letter this evening, which I'm going to read afterwards. I've been in the village myself now for 34 years, and it's only since the opening of the community shop that I've had the pleasure of meeting so many villagers. No longer just a quick wave as I drive up the street, but full and interesting conversation with many new friends. Throughout the ones you have heard from other committee members, I'm sure that you'll be able to feel that this is a big part for the village. Now I'm just going to quickly read this email from Jamie, which I think is important. Here, I'm going to pour this when you can't find his notes. This is from Jamie. I hope the email finds you well. It's got my attention that there's some confusion on potentially false information circulating around my resignation from the shop. With it being such a crucial moment on our project's path, I would appreciate it if you could read aloud the following statement on my behalf at the parish council meeting. Unfortunately, I'm unable to attend in person, and I have no childcare this evening. Parish councillors, at this crucial juncture in our collaborative journey, I would like to take the opportunity to elaborate on my resignation from my role as manager. It was with a great deal of thought and sadness that I decided to resign from my role back in November. I spent a very enjoyable 12 months volunteering and a further 8 months as manager, helping to guide the shop project through its next phase, and a wonderful time with volunteers, who I'm fortunate now to call friends. Unfortunately, due to the nature of having a young family, a husband who travels to work and a small business of my own, the on-call nature of the role was something that I could not make work in harmony with my personal circumstances. I have 3 children, one of whom is still home full-time, and although the job was part-time, it did need a greater degree of flexibility and availability than I was able to give. It is with pleasure that I'm still a volunteer in the shop, and I will continue to help the website and help with publicity and other events. I've also offered to continue help with the collaboration between our two committees. So if at any point in the future you feel I can be of use, then you only have to ask. I feel passionately that the shop is in the interest of the entire community, and the early signs of the new location are very encouraging. We have welcomed a lot of new faces since October, and our events are better attended than ever. My friends, all who have young children, are now regulars at the coffee mornings, as the location is much safer for the children to attend. When the park is in use, it has been a huge footfall driver, and we hope to reap the benefits of that come spring and summer. I implore with the members of the council to really consider the value of our new community asset, that a small and dedicated team of individuals who have worked incredibly hard to build. The volunteers stand to gain nothing from the other than a sense of fulfillment and pride from being part of such a wonderful project. There is no one individual on which this project depends. It depends on the entire community and our councils working together to keep the village an easy and accessible place to live for our older residents and attractive prospect for younger families. Now that's Jamie, who was our shop manager for 8 months, as I just said, and she reluctantly had to resign. I know her husband, by the way, has got what I call a fabulous job. He goes off to Premier League football matches and interviews the team managers. I've asked him many times if he wants to show, probably he doesn't. I'll now pass over to Jonathan, and Jonathan will then take us through the rest of it.
Good evening, everybody. I'm assuming everyone's seen a copy of the viability report that we put together. I won't go through it in massive detail because I'm sure you've all got questions. So.
Jonathan, if you're comfortable, will you be okay to use Mrs. Mars?
Sure,
Make
yeah.
it easy for you.
No, fine, no problem.
So rather than that bit anyway.
So rather than go through each individual number on the page, I'm assuming you guys will have questions afterwards, but what I wanted to do is go a brief overview of how we come up with our projected figures. So we're trying to make sure that we've got a 20% gross profit. That's the aim of the shop. Lucy, who will speak later, she's really very good at keeping an eye on that for us. The forecast figures are based on the existing shop's opening hours, which is obviously not open full time. As we're getting more volunteers coming on board, the plan is to open up longer hours, which will affect these figures quite drastically, because we can hopefully turn more profit because we're open longer. So we've been very conservative on our growth figures because we don't want to sort of make anything too fictitious, but we feel that a 5% growth year on year, taking into account inflation, is easily achievable based on the figures that we've got historically to date. The one thing I will sort of say, slightly confusing in terms of the date, our year end is January, so when it says on the summary here 2023, that's really for most of the year 2022 and so on, so it's almost like a year out, but it's just because the month end is January. In 2025, hopefully once the shop is fully built and we're in there, which will be the 2024 calendar year, we plan to get the post office and work with Hermes as well, so we can then start doing parcel collections and drop-offs. That should have a noticeable impact on our turnover. It should be quite profitable for the shop. The other thing that we're looking at doing is, once we are established, is creating a coffee shop area where we'll be able to serve teas and coffees to people visiting the park or even visiting Brent Knoll. We've noticed since we've moved to the car park that the sales have gone up after school, on certainly on Friday when we're open late, with parents taking their kids to the park and buying, we do teas and coffees now, don't we? Yeah, and obviously soft drinks for the kids and things like that, so that's doing quite well. We've estimated some figures for the shop rent, Parish Council. They are very estimated, we appreciate they haven't been finalised by yourselves, so we're not setting that in stone. Obviously we'll wait for you guys to come back with that. We've estimated roughly about £14,000 on repairs for when we do move into the new shop. They're not capital assets, they are just repairs that we'll go through the profit and loss. I don't know if anyone knows financial accounts or whatever, but things like coffee machines and stuff like that, they won't affect the profit and loss of the business. They will affect cash flow, obviously, but not the profit. Yeah, so as I said, I'm happy to take questions afterwards about the figures themselves. I'll let Lucy have a talk about what she's been doing, and so the volunteers like to talk, and then I'll field any questions about the financials. That's all right?
Any questions?
Yes, questions later. Questions later. Lucy now.
Hello, I'm afraid some of mine is going to repeat some of what John have already said. As you're aware, the Brent Knoll Community Shop evolved from the emergency shop, which highlighted the need for the village shop after previous business closed down. A survey was produced asking people what they wanted stocked in their shop. The results were a mix of requests from high-end quality locally produced food to cheaper generic options, which we've endeavoured to cater for both whilst making a profit. Fresh breads delivered from Maisie's Bakery 4 times per week. We also have a delivery each week from a family-run bakery in Cornwall. Blake's Bakery provide us with real Cornish pasties and the best fruit cake, which I will. They allow us a sale return account, which is financially beneficial to us. We also have a weekly delivery of fresh fruit and veg from the Veg Man, whose business came from his being laid off due to the pandemic. Being a new business ourselves, we're proud to help his business grow. In return, he gives us excellent prices for his top-rate fruit and veg. Our fruit and veg are topped up midweek by Glebe Farm in Hart Road. They also give us a discount because we are a community shop, all helping each other. They try to support us where they can, as do Westcroft Farm. We also stock local Brent Knoll honey, cheeses, Rose Farm, chutneys and jams, alongside generic cheaper options, fulfilling the survey's findings. Our monthly coffee mornings and events have proved to be both popular and financially successful, particularly in our new location, attracting more younger families, village green users and passing cyclists. We now hire the Nuttall Room and kitchen for these events, which in turn provides the parish hall with a small regular income from us. Another area we've been involved in the community, we've helped the church raise vital funds by selling in excess of £300 worth of plants and flowers on their behalf. Also, the joint venture of the church Christmas fair and community shop coffee morning brought in new additional business for the community shop. When we have our permanent shop, we will be in a position to offer additional services, i.e. the post office. They will not entertain us until we are in a permanent brick building, and a Hermes collection point. These will considerably increase our revenue. We can't do Hermes at the moment because, again, we need storage space, we need a secure space to keep any parcels that we take in. Our community shop, in its new current location, has become the hub of the village, providing a focal point for community events in conjunction with the village parish hall. Our community shop actively promotes inclusion. We take care to involve people of all ages, abilities and backgrounds. We particularly look out for those most vulnerable in our village. We play an active role in addressing isolation and loneliness through volunteering opportunities. We have a food bank collection basket weekly donated to our local food bank. I'm passionate about our community shop. I see it as a positive, viable addition to Brent Knoll Village, now and for the future. 132 shareholders believe in our village shop, and we hope you do too. Thank you.
Well done, Lucy. Now, Ali? Ali at the back, yeah. Ali.
I'm Ali. I'm the new volunteer coordinator for my sins. I can't add much more to what both Michelle and John and Lucy have said. I mean, I volunteered when we first opened, being new to the village. It is been possibly the best thing I have ever done. I work with the most fabulous team. The support from the local residents has been absolutely overwhelming. The customers have shown a great deal of loyalty, and we know that many of them, if not all of them, value the time and the commitment that we have given. I mean, we do try to go out of our way to make sure that they have everything that they need. We have at least 6 more volunteers wanting to join our great team. So I will be working on that so that we can hopefully start opening longer hours. And our team are providing an essential service to the community, and they show their care, compassion and empathy with the customers. And I ask you to think about the value that this has on the well-being of our neighbours. The value that we can provide in the future can only be greater.
Thank you, Annie. And Lynn?
Hello, I'm Lynn, and I've lived in Brent Knoll for 21 years. I'm one of the purchasing team for the community shop, and I've been involved with the shop for the last 18 months. In that time, I've seen the community shop grow and go from strength to strength. As part of the purchasing team, we have to stock up weekly and deal with daily requests from customers regarding items they require. We will then do our best to obtain the items requested. So at all times, it's personal service to the customer from the volunteers, which is sadly lacking in large supermarkets. And we are just that, volunteers. People who believe that a community shop is needed in the village. We are proud to say that the community shop has received positive feedback from our customers and also from people outside the village who visit the village to the events. I've lost my track from our customers. And the feedback is regarding the stock that we hold in a small area and fair prices. Also a very friendly atmosphere within the shop. I would like to end by saying the community shop is a very important part of village life. Take away the shop and the soul will go out of the village. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lynn. That basically is our sort of a brief introduction of what's going on with the shop at this moment in time. I think you realise we've got the new homes at both ends of Brent Street where people are coming, they've just joined the village and they want to be part of it. That's come across quite well. The shop is bringing everyone together. I've appreciated that, Lynn's appreciated that, Michelle's appreciated that. It's an exciting venture and we're all buzzing by it. We're doing our best. We're all volunteers. We're in it for the community of the village. I'm not in it for myself. When I was in business, if I had a big home-based contract, big £1 million contract, I'd be absolutely on edge and whatever. That was for me. This is not for me, this is for everybody. I want you to have the same passion for the community shop as we've got. 45, 50 possibly volunteers now, committee of 8. It's a very exciting project. Please have the same excitement in it as we have. Thank you very much. We'll now accept questions from the floor.
Questions? Councillors, any questions for any of the... Okay, Brian?
Could I ask this? I know it's new, but what plans have you got for replacing the part-time manager? So it's all fresh.
Jonathan will take that one on.
Yeah, currently none at the moment. Some of the volunteers have picked up some of the roles. We're going to see how that goes. We are monitoring on a regular basis, but we envisage by the time the shop is built and we're on longer hours, we will need somebody to come on part-time.
It's a big blow.
Yes. In fairness, the volunteers have stood up, taken on the roles and have done a really good job of it so far. But yeah, we'll probably need a part-time manager to start with, and then as we get bigger and bigger, we'll take on a full-time, I'm sure.
Thank you.
during the presentation you said that you have 132 shareholders. So is that 130 shares being purchased, or is it 132 people have purchased shares?
It's 132 people.
Right, okay. So why hasn't that been shown on your profit and loss statement?
Because it's not a profit or a loss. It will sit in the
But
balance sheet.
it's an income.
It's not. It's capital. So it would sit on the balance sheet.
So I think the question, Jonathan, is that sum of money on behalf of council, what is it and where is it currently sitting?
So we have those funds are sitting in a separate bank account away from the trading account that we have, earmarked for, well, it's not earmarked for anything yet, but it's working capital that we have which I'm sure.
That should be on your profit and loss. It should be there on your statement.
No, because it's not an income. It's capital investment.
You've raised money for.
We've raised money by selling shares. Yeah, we've sold shares, so it's capital investment by the shareholders into the business.
And that is 100% intact.
It's not being touched. It's sitting in a separate savings account.
Okay.
We've got cash reserves there to call on us when we need it. We don't carry a lot of debt, so.
Would you like to explain that?
Yeah, so we don't have a lot of credit really. No one really gives us a lot of credit. It's usually a week or 2 weeks, so we don't sit on a lot of debt owing to people. Obviously, we don't have anyone owing us any money because we don't give credit ourselves. And our corporation tax bills will be quite lower than a normal business because we can take advantage of something called the Peterhead principle, which goes back to something like 1952, where effectively what it allows us to do is use some of the time of the volunteers and pay their hours and pay them like a equivalent of a minimum wage. So in the accounts, there's no cost for it because they volunteer. On the tax return, we're allowed to put a cost in for them. On the last return that we did, or the first return we did, we put it in at about 23%. There's no hard and fast rule with HMRC. I've seen some examples where they allow 30% and some where they've only allowed 20%. So we've been very cautious, and I deal with HMRC quite a lot, and I don't want to deal with them any more necessary than I want to. So we've been very cautious with it, and it's helped us with our tax liability. I think it was £172 last year with the profit that we had, which has been paid. So, but yeah, the money in from the shareholders, just to clarify, it's not a sale, so it's not classified as income on a balance sheet. I don't know if people know how accounts work. I don't know. If you do, I apologise for talking down to you, but you've got the profit and loss, which is the income coming in and your expenses, and then you've got the balance sheet, which is your assets and your liabilities. They kind of mirror each other because you can't have one without the other. But the money coming in from the shareholders was in exchange for a share, so it doesn't hit the profit and loss itself.
Just on a historic basis, because I know getting to it before you did this time. The reason the question was asked was because the profit and loss in the last time, grants went through the profit and loss.
Yeah, so the grants should be in the P&L because they are taxable. Well, most grants are taxable. But in this case, it is literally selling shares in a business. We're not quite as big as something like BP, but it's on the same sort of principle.
Yeah. I don't belong to the committee, obviously, of the parish council to the shop. As a business owner myself, we have asked for a business plan, and I'm quite disappointed that all we've been given is a viability report. And I'm sure if you were